Don't you give up now. The sun will soon be
Because of Israel's disobedience in the 3rd year of the reign of King Jehoiakim of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon captured Israel. Jerusalem would suffer several attacks, with many Hebrews deported to Babylon in a 70-year captivity. Nebuchadnezzar's leadership philosophy meant that he wanted to broaden the skills, culture, and religion of Babylon so that he could strengthen his rule. To take advantage of the best talent of Israel, King Nebuchadnezzar ordered Ashpenaz, his chief eunuch, to bring to Babylon the youth of Israel, who were excellent in mind and body.
Here you will learn of Babylon, of the earth, and of the universe.
And the king spake unto Ashpenaz that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom and understanding science, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
There he would groom them and train them to serve his rapidly expanding kingdom. These youth would be educated, assimilated into Babylonian culture, serve as human shields to protect them from Israel, and they would be prepared to serve the king. Daniel and his 3 companions were teenagers in the first wave of those taken back to Babylon. The education was not quite a violation of their Jewish faith, but the king provided food for these young men to eat. The king's food was some of the finest in the land. It was meant to show his generosity and favor on these captives, but the food did not meet Mosaic requirements. It was not prepared according to Mosaic law. It may have included meat from forbidden animals under Mosaic law. And finally, the wine and meat had been dedicated to heathenous idols. That was the custom of Babylon. Daniel, Hananiah, Michael, Azariah saw these provisions as defiling, a direct violation of their Jewish faith. In this situation, it would have been easy for the 4 companions to just eat the food. The other boys taken captive ate it. God desires us to obey him out of his love for us because he wants the best for us. In some circumstances, it's difficult not to rationalize for convenience or survival, to justify disobedience. Admit it, sometimes it's easier just to do it and ask for forgiveness. Daniel did not do that, but Daniel recognizes the difficulty in his situation and uses good judgment and common sense. Instead of trying to lead a rebellion, he requests of the chief eunuch to be excused from the eating of this defiled food. The chief eunuch did not want to change the king's orders regarding their diet. If later they showed some ill effect, he would be responsible, and that could mean his death. Daniel had organizational sensitivity here. He understood all sides. Changing the diet could cause his guards to risk their lives. Eating the food could cause him to risk his soul. Both were valuable to their owners. So Daniel's next step, a strong man of faith, was to appeal to the steward immediately in charge of the 4 young men for a 10-day trial. For 10 days, they would eat only vegetables and water. This time was a reasonable length of time to test the diet, yet one that would not unduly risk the wrath of the king. The steward granted Daniel's request, and the test begun. At the end of the 10 days, the 4 young men looked better than the other young men, so the guards served them and the others the healthier diet. At a time when millions of people are resolving to eat better and exercise more, Daniel and his companions chose not to follow the crowd, but to act on their faith, not putting anything in their bodies which did not help them from a physical and spiritual standpoint. The closing section of Daniel 1 is a summary of 3 years of hard study and the results of God's blessings upon the 4 faithful young men. By the time they completed their education, the 4 were probably near 20 years old. In addition to their natural intellectual abilities and their application of themselves to their studies, God added his grace. When examined by the king, these faithful 4 were superior to all the rest. In fact, they were better than the people he already had working for him. For modern Christians, it is easy to hold on to our faith when we are standing on principles that may not have consequences. But when standing on those principles can result in the loss of jobs, friends, money, the loss of the opportunity to earn easy cash, sometimes we find justifications. With Daniel and his companions, we see that we serve a mighty God who can bless us in ways that we cannot even imagine, ways that we do not predict or foresee if we but stay faithful. That's the lesson for this week. Have a great week.